All right, folks, we're going to get started. First off, thank you very much for being here with us today. We really appreciate it. This is, just to make sure you're in the right spots, session 109, Going Beyond Multi-Cloud CNAPP with Security Command Center Enterprise. My name is Jess, and I'm going to walk through this content with you today with my two friends, Connor Hammersmith, who is going to run you through an exciting demo in a few minutes, and Arshad Aziz, who is the Director of Platform Security for Verizon. Arshad was kind enough to join us today to give you some customer perspective here on stage. So, quick agenda. I'm going to walk you through one or two slides on Security Command Center, what it is that we've just released out into the world. Arshad is going to give you the voice of the customer. I'll talk a little bit about why we felt that this was the right time to do something a little bit different in the industry. And then we'll talk about what we've just released, and Connor will walk you through the product demo. So, if you are not super familiar with Security Command Center, we have been around for several years now, and we are protecting thousands of GCP customers already today. We are effectively the de facto standard for protecting workloads with security posture and compliance. We identify risks, we identify risky misconfigurations and vulnerabilities. We find CVEs. We have hundreds of out-of-the-box misconfig detections with the product. We recently started providing preventative policy as well. So org policies can be used within our policies for preventative controls. We also have custom capabilities, so you can create your own custom detections and custom preventative controls with custom org policies and custom security health analytics. We manage compliance. We have all of these standards that you would expect out of the box, PCI and HIPAA and HITRUST, CIS, NIST, 27001. Some of our customers will take those right out of the box, but most of our customers prefer to actually customize those. We recently released the ability to customize those capabilities. And what people will do is they take out all of the different controls that don't really apply to their business so that you don't have those alerts down the road that follow with the detectors that you don't require. And then you add in your own preventative and detective controls into that policy. You deploy that, and we will monitor that for drift. We do all kinds of threat detection within the product. There are a couple of key tenets that we try to follow whenever we're looking at threat detection. First off, we use proprietary telemetry from the services alongside all of the generally available GCP telemetry that we provide. We do that so that we can find the highest amount of badness within the environment in the most effective way. We build in anywhere we can into the infrastructure directly. So we make things extremely turnkey. We have somewhere around the realm of about 100 different detections within the product. They're all turnkey. You go in and you can configure those literally with toggle buttons on and off. By default, they're all on. We recently released the ability to be able to customize quite a few of those if you want to, but right out of the box, they're super easy to use. We build into the infrastructure directly for GKE, for runtime protection. We build into the infrastructure for GCE, for VM protections. And we create an automated pipeline of all of the events that are relevant for security and run our detections over that pipeline. That allows you to deploy maximum threat detection without requiring hard-to-manage agents or other technology. About 6 months ago, we released our risk engine. This really changes the way that we operate against security. It's a big feature for us. I'm going to come back to the risk engine a little bit later in this presentation because it does some really unique things. But just for now, we released the risk engine. It does two really important things, just as a primer. First off, it has the ability to do risk scoring and full risk exposure score on every finding that we have in the system. That allows us to prioritize all the things that matter most all the way up at the top so you can see them quickly and easily and address them. Secondly, it creates attack path simulation. So we will provide you with a full visual attack path of the most likely ways that an attacker is going to circumvent your defenses and compromise your system. Last but not least, we reduce toil and upskill talent with some embedded Gemini AI. And that is the product that we have in market, or that we had in market up until a few days ago. What we released is twofold. First off, we are expanding our protections from GCP to AWS and Azure. And secondly, we are deepening the stack of features and functionality that we provide within the context of the product dramatically to provide a full cloud-native application protection platform, or CNAPP solution. So I'm going to be back in a couple of minutes to talk more about this, but first I'd like to hand off to Arshad to give us some perspective from Verizon.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for joining. For those who came in late, I'm Rashad Aziz. I lead cloud security at Verizon as part of their cybersecurity organization. So before I get into SEC, a quick overview on kind of the business strategy that we've been trying to drive for these years, and using Google Cloud and all its AI features for better customer experience. So the code that you see on the screen is from the CIO of Verizon on how we are trying to create a personalized digital experience for each customer, getting their insights, collecting a lot of data from them, basically, and then using them to resolve things faster, better problem resolution, and at the same time enabling our employees to excel in customer satisfaction. So it's a lot of sensitive data, both customer and network, that goes into Google Cloud that we've been trying to protect. We have a lot of other solutions today, all to keep monitoring and securing it. And now SEC is the latest tool set in the chain to keep enhancing our security posture on that one. So why SEC? That's among a lot of things. That's the top 3 things we can come up with is world-class. So we run a very big world-class network with our 100 million plus Verizon cell phone customers. We have new technologies like a 5G home, the data we carry for our enterprise customers on our worldwide networks, some very sensitive stuff. So the need for having something that can scale at the world class that we live in and have the reliability was a paramount thing, and that's why looking at all of the providers, we need something at Google scale, along with the key risk insight that it brings, along with the partnership with Mandy and that it brings in. So the scale and reliability was a key factor, but more importantly, the time to market or efficiency. So we're trying to become a cloud-native company as much as possible. Trying to not have staff trying to build things and monitor things and so on, and then how to fast track our security operations and not hold up the business for months and quarters as things roll out. So time to market. And lastly, for data security, this is not just you monitor it once you're done. The continuous compliance part that we're just going to talk about is consistently monitoring what threats are coming, where is both internal and external are happening, and how to detect it and automate it, basically. So the part of security and integrate with our other tools, that was a key factor along those lines. So it's been an interesting journey for the last year and a half, from all the way from the concept to piloting it to rolling it out. And then now the problem that we see it solving for us is first on the centralized threat intelligence. So our other tools are not going away. We still have other tools in other domains. Trying to get all of that to integrate with SEC has been a key factor, that we have one pane of glass for all our SOC analysts and so on. The right alert at the right time, so what they also call alert fatigue, basically. You can't focus on everything else, so how do we prioritize things, only focus on the top, highest risk items, and ignore everything else. So we've been playing with a lot of the features to mute out alerts and not have board on our SOC teams, basically. And lastly, actionable security. So this is going beyond just running an audit and finding it. So this is taking action in real time. If needed, even detecting and blocking things. Could be as simple as an employee copying data from production into the Google Drive and blocking those data exfiltration. Or at a minimum, at least automating a workflow, creating some ticket that can be taken action on. So a lot more to come. I'll hand it back to Jess for the technicalities on how to, then I'll come back at the end, basically.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I want to take a few of the concepts that Arshad just walked through, and I want to up-level and talk a little bit about the risk management industry as a whole. When we looked at the industry, there were a variety of things that stood out as things that we might want to do a little bit differently. And we've called out 3 of them here that kind of became design principles for us as we went through. First one is this notion of siloed tools. Well, here, if you think about it, cloud isn't that old, and therefore cloud security isn't that old. So what people have been doing, as new types of threats evolve within the cloud space, people will take a new solution and deploy that as a point solution next to all of the other solutions that they've already deployed. If you are an organization of any size, you have a SOC team. Your SOC has its own, silo of tools which don't really talk to the cloud tools. You probably have something for misconfigurations. You have something else for vulnerabilities. You have something else for infrastructure as code. Maybe you handle containers a little differently than all of those things. You've got something for privilege access management and identities and entitlement, and the list goes on, right? And each of those things gets deployed next to all of the other things, but not speaking to any of the other things. What that does is it minimizes your ability to see the full picture of risk across the whole spectrum. So if you really want to get the most out of your tool sets and out of your teams, you have to dismantle the silos. So that became a core principle for us in the design. Secondly, this notion of far too much noise, way too many signals and far too few insights. It is not uncommon when I have a conversation with a small to medium-sized business, it's not uncommon for that customer to have, thousands of active findings in the system at any given time. It's not uncommon for a large customer to have hundreds of thousands, in fact, oftentimes many hundreds of thousands of findings within the system. So when that is the case, how are you supposed to understand what to act on first, what gets prioritized? For us, we believe that we have an advantage in this space with our Gemini AI, with our threat intelligence, with the risk engine capabilities that we bring to the table. We think we can do something different and better here. And lastly, this notion of distributed ownership of issues. So those same customers that I talk to frequently, the most common question that I get is, it's not that I don't believe you. I'm sure you did a good job finding all of the misconfigurations and vulnerabilities and indicators of compromise that exist in the system. What am I supposed to do with all of this? At the end of the day, I think one of the unfortunate truths in the security industry is that you can take a name brand company, more often than not, you would be surprised at how often this is the case. Take a name brand company with a global presence that makes billions or tens of billions of dollars a year, and that company will have 8 or 10 or 15 analysts monitoring that entire queue of findings. It's an impossible situation for those folks. So given that, how can we help customers within the processes that exist? Because the processes are there for a reason, but they hamper your ability to be able to resolve findings in a reasonable timeline. How can we work with those existing processes, automate as much as we can within the context of those processes, provide clear accountability, and dramatically reduce the mean time to resolution as we're doing that? So these were some of the core principles we looked at when we looked at this market space. We decided that we had an opportunity to do things radically different here. When we looked at the market, we saw a ton of convergence. We have just spent the last 4 years building out a highly differentiated and innovative solution suite with the Chronicle SecOps suite. Within that, we saw the consolidation that happened between SIEM and SOAR and TIP and UEBA very rapidly. Gartner considers all of that one category. Ourselves and everybody else that builds in that space, they build one solution now. You don't have disparate solutions being built in this area. We see a very similar convergence that's happening on the other end on the CNAPP side. So all of those silos that I was talking about a moment ago are starting to get broken down into signals into a world that looks at security through the lens of risk. And that's a good thing. But this convergence drives a couple of things. First off, more often than not, when I talk to a CISO at one of our customers, these are two of the most important initiatives that are happening right now in their businesses. But maybe even more interesting, the process that people use to address these two types of issues is almost identical. In both cases, for a SecOps case and for a CNAPP case, what you're doing is you're collecting a ton of data in one spot, you're detecting against that data, you are then enriching, investigating, you are prioritizing and triaging and responding, right? So given that, we just created some of the most innovative, disruptive technology in the SecOps space, we started thinking about how it might be possible to create a single stack across both of these things. one that uses common, powerful building blocks to be able to tie together data ingestion and risk modeling, threat intel and enrichment and graphing and ultimately remediation into a single stack. And that's kind of where we landed here. We landed at this notion of converging proactive and reactive cloud security together in a single solution. What we've done is we've taken the best of what cloud security has to offer. We have all of the goodness that Security Command Center has provided for GCP for some time now. We have our attack surface management solution. We've taken features out of the attack surface management solution to find externally exploitable assets in your environment. We've taken some of the features from Chronicle SIEM and some of the features from Chronicle SOAR, and we've layered all of these together in one cloud protection journey in a single product. We've done that so that when you have this single stack, imagine you start at the bottom of this stack with telemetry that is unified. As security professionals, we rarely get an ontology that is the same. You have lots of different areas trying to gather data and talk to each other from different ontologies. It's very difficult. So a unified data format and ontology is super important. On top of that, building out the same detection capabilities with the same threat intelligence across the platform, with the same enrichment capabilities, the same playbooks that act on top of those, that creates a super powerful platform. For us, that platform is Security Command Center Enterprise. So this is the product that we just released. It dramatically enhances our prior Security Command Center product. It takes the expertise that we have in the cloud protection side, fuses that together with the enterprise security operations capabilities that we've built in Google Cloud, and it supercharges them with some things that Google traditionally does really well. Our Mandiant expertise, our front-end threat intelligence, and our Gemini AI. So in this picture that you see here, the Google Security Fabric forms the bottom half of this. A lot of our secret sauce is in the Google Security Fabric. It starts at the bottom here with Chronicle creating the data lake on your behalf. We take we have all the parsers available that we need to take data out of GCP, out of AWS, out of Azure, bring all of those in, ingest, index, normalize, and craft a security data lake which is ready for high-speed security queries. On top of that, we layer Mandiant threat intel. So the Mandiant acquisition closed in November of 2022, and we spent the last year and change building out a set of standardized, centralized repositories around threat intel. We had all kinds of different formats across Google, across GCP, across Mandiant. We've structured all of that into common structures around YARA-L rules, which can be used in a variety of our cloud security products. That's what we're doing here. We're leveraging Mandiant TTPs, techniques, tactics, and procedures, Mandiant IOC feeds, everything unified and now applicable to Security Command Center use cases. It's not just the threat intel, by the way, it's also how you apply the threat intel. If you're in this business, you probably know that already. But as we bring events into the system, we are actively applying all of the threat intel automatically so that we're adding all the relevant metadata into the events so you see everything pieced together for you the first time you're looking at it. I promised I was going to come back to the risk engine. Here we are. So the thing that is so unique about this risk engine, that it is effectively the only risk engine in the industry that does this, is that most folks that have a risk analysis component are doing something called toxic combinations. A toxic combination is effectively a rule. We have been doing rules in security since the dawn of security. Not much new there. There's nothing wrong with toxic combinations, but if you are only using toxic combinations, then there's a big gap. And that is because, like any security rule, something must exist in the wild for a material portion of time. You've got to have enough information on it for it to hit the top of your stack to go create a rule around it. You then have to have enough information to reverse engineer it successfully and create that rule. And once you do, you got to test it and deploy it, get it out in customers' hands. So it may be many months between the time that something actually hits the wild and when you actually have a rule that you can apply for it. What we're doing is totally different than that. We are creating a digital twin that compares every single asset to every other asset inside of your cloud environment across clouds And we are actually walking every single attack path. We're not guessing at whether an attack can be executed. We're walking every single attack path in that simulation to understand how attackers could compromise you. That means we are going to find all the unknown unknowns that can't be found in other solutions today. So the risk engine is really critical to be able to prioritize all the risks that exist in your system actively. Lastly, the Gemini AI side, there's sort of two big things here. The first one is, several quarters back, we decided that Security Command Center would be where we invested as a business in protecting AI workloads. We've just released the first several features within that suite of protections that come with your subscription for this product. But we're now protecting Vertex AI workloads and Colab notebooks. Colab notebooks are our version of Jupyter notebooks. If you've taken a look at them, they do all kinds of things that make security professionals uncomfortable. Take disparate data sources and pull them together, and developer identities and OSS and third-party code. Put all that stuff together in one notebook. It's beautiful for making models, but it's hard for security. So we are protecting those environments now using the same posture sets that we talked about before. So you can wrap your policy around those assets and keep them safe. We're also surfacing those as endpoints in attack path simulation. So we'll tell you if we believe an attacker can compromise your AI environments. So that's the first part. Watch this space for a lot more over the course of this year around securing your AI workloads, but also Gemini embedded in the product. So there are all kinds of features in preview and in GA now across the product set which give you Gemini capabilities embedded. They range from summarizations of things all the way to auto-creating detection rule at the end of an investigation, so you don't have to learn the syntax for doing that. But again, this is a huge area of development for us, and you'll see a lot more coming. So that's the security fabric. The top portion of this diagram is all about how you create policy and threat constructs. So you craft policies around posture, around code, identity, and data. And you'll deploy those policies, and we'll monitor against those policies for drift and enforce those policies on your behalf. And then there's the threat side of the equation. So we talked earlier about all the ways that Security Command Center protects your GCP deployments today out of the box. But what we're adding into the mix here is we're adding chronicle threat detection capabilities. Now again, nobody in the industry is doing this today. There isn't a single CNAPP provider out there that merges SIM-like detection capabilities into the suite. So what we're doing is we're collecting 30 days worth of data, a rolling 30 days. We are retro hunting against all of that data actively. We give you the ability to have out of the box, we have almost 100 out of the box detections which are available for you to use, but you also can create your own custom detections with the YARA format and deploy those. You have Chronicle's search and investigation tooling at your disposal to be able to track down and remediate threats quickly. There's two big things that I wanted to add into this picture. First one is, your risk engine is only as good as all of the signaling that you can do inside of it. And then the second one is, the entire process end-to-end that you follow as you go through the resolution stages is really important. So from a signaling perspective, these are the inbound signals. We have dramatically expanded the amount of signals that we can find, ingest, and use within the context of the risk engine for this release. It starts up at the top with the externally exploitable assets. This is our ASM technology, finding externally exploitable assets, and those get merged into your SEC findings automatically. We find misconfigs, we find vulnerabilities. We're looking at all your identities and service accounts, and we actually have remediation capabilities that will bring your service accounts and identities back to least privilege in an automated way if you want to use those. We have lots of metadata that we're pulling out of containers and build environments. One of the jewels in this that I think gets overshadowed because we've released so many features with this drop is this notion of assured OSS. So inside of Google, if you want to use an OSS package as a developer, before you can do that, it has to go through this process for the package to get blessed. So there's a whole pipeline that we run it through before you're able to use it. Once it's blessed, any developer can use it, and we keep maintaining the evaluation of that package as we go. We call those assured OSS packages, and we are now making that feed of assured OSS packages available to our customers through this subscription so that you can use that same feed to determine whether your OSS packages are safe or not. Lastly, sensitive data. We've built in our DLP and sensitive data protection capabilities into the product, and you can even see how attackers could compromise those through your attack path simulation. On the flip side of that, the processes you're going to follow. So as you deploy, we're going to run all these detections. Detection takes two forms. First off, we are going to enforce the policies that you've put into place. So any drift from those policies will show up within the system. We'll also run threat detection in all of the different ways that I just described. From there, we'll use the risk engine to prioritize all the top risks up at the top. We will provide automated enrichment within the system as much as possible. We have case management built in. So if you have your own ITSM system, we can take your ITSM system, ServiceNow, Jira, whatever. We can use those. But if not, we have our own case management built in that will form the ticketing stack for your analysts. We auto-create cases. So we'll take 5, 10, 20 different findings that are related. This mic keeps cutting out. That are related and group them. And what that does for you is right out the gates, that's 5, 10, 20x less findings that your analysts have to go through one by one. Investigation using Chronicle's investigation and search tooling, which is quite robust. Custom playbooks is a huge one. So we have full SOAR capabilities built into this. You can go through and create custom playbooks for enrichment, custom playbooks for remediation. We have out-of-the-box playbooks, and you can use those to drive remediation and mean time to resolution much faster according to the processes that are important for your business. Reporting capabilities, compliance reporting capabilities. Another gem that we just released is the Audit Manager. That's now in preview. Audit Manager takes in-depth logging, and it structures all of the outputs in a format that auditors are waiting to see your data in. Typically, many of our customers will tell me they spend weeks or even months out of every year pulling all of the audit logs that are required for their auditors. This does that task for you, gives them that in a structure that they already know how to use. It not only shortens your time with auditors, but it shortens the audit time as well. And lastly, managed hunt. So even in this very first drop, we are including Mandiant Managed Services and expertise. So this is the first of those. There will be more, but Mandiant Managed Hunt allows a Mandiant hunter to hunt alongside your own teams to find more badness. So as you can see, just a tremendous amount of functionality being released in this drop. It lets you manage the full risk lifecycle in a way that has really not been possible prior to this. So we'll proactively find all the misconfigs, vulnerabilities, and threats. We will go through with our risk engine, create the attack paths, create the risk scoring, evaluate everything, and prioritize your top risks at the top. We'll auto-create those cases and enrich with a lot of correlated security information and metadata. And we'll leverage our investigation tooling within Chronicle to allow you to conclude investigations quickly and leverage our Gemini AI here to be able to craft rules and do other things at the end of that. And then we'll allow you to attach out-of-the-box or custom playbook capabilities to remediate as quickly as possible. When you do remediate and you close that case out, we'll close all the cases on the back end, we'll update your risk dashboard, and we'll give you a sense of how much further and better your security has come over time. So, I think it's time for Connor to walk us through.
I think so. All right, thank you, Jess. So, hey everybody, I'm Connor Hammersmith. I focus on security here at Google Cloud. I just said a lot of cool stuff there, so let's actually see what it looks like, right? So I'll walk you through a demo that I recorded recently on Security Command Center. So as you can see, you access SEC directly in the Google Cloud console, right? So what's cool about that is that your security team can access at the organization level and see findings across the entire organization, right? Conversely, you can have just assign IAM permissions to developers on their project, so they can take full advantage of the capabilities, track cases, and findings just related to their domain. As we continue to kind of scroll through, you'll see at the top how we have reference to the cases we've created in SOAR, the threat detections we've identified. You can change the time frame here to see trends over time. Here we're just looking at the different threat detections we've identified, from like container threat detection, some anomalous behavior in service accounts, and things like that. But as we continue to scroll down, you'll see where we have the section focused on vulnerability findings. So as Jess mentioned, we're looking at vulnerabilities that consist of misconfiguration, CVEs we've identified in your environment, from the outside looking in with Mandiant's attack surface management. And we take these and we prioritize them with risk scores that you can see and really focus your remediation efforts. We also provide a heat map for CVEs within your environment, where we're not just looking at the traditional high, medium, low criticalities, but we're also providing you, we enrich those CVEs with threat intelligence from Mandiant to say, are we actually actively seeing this CVE being exploited in the wild? What tools to help you prioritize? We also added some widgets at the bottom of the screen to really focus areas of risk around identity and access management, AI-specific risk on AI workloads, and then data security findings. You can also jump to look and analyze these findings closer in Policy Analyzer and the Sensitive Data Protection Platform. So let's scroll back up, and let's jump into some one of the vulnerability findings. So we'll click on the public IP address finding here, right? We all know it's kind of bad to have public IPs. But as we click on that risk score, it takes us in the attack path simulation, where you can see what high-value assets are going to be impacted by these vulnerabilities. Here you see we have an open SSH port, right? Not good, right? But it's really not good when you combine that with and you have a public IP address. So then we can directly from there jump into the finding for the public IP address, see information associated with this finding. We provide an AI-generated summary at the top. But we're also going through, you can see information that we've aggregated and automatically created a case in the Chronicle SOAR platform for you. You can see information directly in the console on how to go remediate and fix this vulnerability, what compliance frameworks is affecting this. But here, let's jump in and see and take a look. What does this case actually look like? So when we jump into the SOAR platform as part of Security Command Center Enterprise, you'll see that what we've done here is we've automatically aggregated multiple findings where you have VMs with public IPs. We've provided some enrichment, and you'll see as you scroll through the whole point right here is to drive automation and enrichment so that your analyst doesn't have to go perform these manual tasks. We can consolidate for them. You can see things like other recommendations or other cases that are related. You can also see here, right, that we automatically created a ticket in ServiceNow that you can go hyperlink into as well. But let's scroll back up and take a little closer look at one of the specific alerts that we've generated. So here we just have some information on this VM that has a public IP, but let's really look at the playbook, right? So here is a scalable platform where you can build playbook steps that you can leverage across the enterprise. So here we'll kind of walk through some examples. So looking at this step on the playbook here, it's basically a standard. Anytime I have a posture management finding, let's just initialize this. Maybe you want to add some additional data, enrich this case with some information that's specific to your organization. Same thing on the next step. We're going to call the Cloud Asset Inventory API. We're going to get additional metadata from this asset that's impacted, feed that into the case for the analyst. This is the important part though, right? You can create a custom risk score, right? So really, this is one thing I talk to my customers all the time on, right? You really want to take that event, understand what does it mean to your business, and then react accordingly. So you can give it an own custom risk score. Maybe it's affecting a project that contains sensitive data, a production project that you want to handle that threat differently or that vulnerability differently than not. So now let's take a look at it. Just one more example here where we're seeing some suspicious activity related to S3 buckets on AWS, right? So we've aggregated a number of different alerts we see that we have some pending actions here, right, to disable the accounts. You can have a human in the loop, or you can choose to take automated action. We can see the entity graph. How are these entities, identities, assets, IP addresses, how are they related? So as we click into one of the specific alerts, you can see additional data about it. What is the risk score? We see we have a pending action here to disable that account. So you can have a human in the loop because you don't want to sometimes impact production workloads. You can see the associated entities, other enrichment widgets we've added to this case around what other events are related. We've added where do we see this in the MITRE attack framework, and you kind of see we've ran the IP through VirusTotal. We've also pulled in additional vulnerability findings from Security Command Center. All of this information is automated and brought to the analyst's fingertips to help save time. But now let's look at one of the entities. Let's jump in and explore a specific user here a little more. So now we're migrating and automatically jumping into the SIM experience, right? So this is where now we've seen some suspicious activity. Now let's try to investigate how deep is this impact. So we can see automatically all the alerts associated with this user. Look into them. You'll see a lot of them. There's a lot of activity related to S3 buckets, right, that we consider suspicious. So you can look at these specific events. You can jump directly into the log entries, right? So as we go through here, you can see the specific events that even caused and triggered the alert. So you can click that button there, go directly to details about that alert source, scroll down, and you see additional information on how we've taken this and enriched or normalized it into the UDM model, which is how we get incredible scale on the Chronicle platform. And then for all of the other geeks out there like me, you can also see the raw log event that caused this, right? So you can kind of see we're driving a lot of automation and allowing you to now not just throw events at you, but allow you to take automated smart responses and investigate. It wouldn't be next 2024 if we didn't end with some AI here. So I've copied the username here, and I'm just using just a sentence, English here. I want to say, tell me what IP addresses has this user interacted with, right? So then I can click Generate Query, and it's automatically going to put it into the syntax that Chronicle needs to run this query, right? So it's really helping you go through this process. You don't need to be a Chronicle expert, right? They can come in, use that Gen AI to help them write queries to perform some investigation, right? So Arshad, maybe just real quick, I wanted just to kind of give you one more chance to see, like, tell me your thoughts.
So I think the two things I want to highlight on is the risk scoring and the attack path simulation. So in Verizon, we live by quantifying our risk. At a company our scale, we cannot pick everything. We have a homegrown risk system that's already there. Having that come in here and do that risk work for us is one less thing that we have to do, basically. The other one is the attack path simulation. So on our worldwide network, it's impossible to figure out who will come in from where. So looking forward to that attack path simulation, figuring out where the open doors are. So those two things are pretty excited to come in.
No, cool. Thank you, Arshad. So let's wrap up with some key takeaways, right? So some key takeaways around Security Command Center Enterprise, right? It is the only way to get cloud-native protection in Google Cloud, where we're providing unparalleled insights and really the ease of deployment, right? We've made it super easy on our customers. I think it is a key benefit that I hear day in and day out. Right, we've integrated Mandiant and really Google's threat intelligence, right? We had a lot of threat intelligence before the Mandiant acquisition, right? So being able to leverage that automatically for you as we scan your environment, look at the different threats, enrich the CVE data to tell you, is it something we're actually seeing exploited? And of course, all the cool benefits with assured open source that Jess mentioned. That continuous risk engine, right? You don't have to do anything, right? It's automatically scanning your environment, continuously updating the risk scores based on how assets change, vulnerabilities you remediate, right? It's really set there for you and really to help drive prioritization. I think really we're seeing a lot of people interested in the convergence of cloud security and security operations. Right? You can see the tremendous benefit that having the automation capabilities in the SOAR and the investigation capabilities in the SIEM can be incredibly helpful to investigating security events in the cloud. You have to drive automation at the scale you're dealing with in cloud. You just have to. Right, so we have a full marketplace for you to download integrations in the SOAR platform. As Jess mentioned, you can create custom playbooks to really customize the response to what your organization needs. The SIEM-like threat detection capabilities, Chronicle is a modern security operations platform that we built to threat hunt here at Google, and now you can get those capabilities as part of Security Command Center Enterprise. So the big key things to me about how we integrated Gemini AI are really how do we make things easier for people that may not be a security professional, right? How do we summarize a lot of data for them? So really taking advantage of that and driving automation. The cool thing too with Mandiant's Managed Hunt, you can provide Mandiant's managed services to help assist in your analysts doing threat hunting within your environment, sitting right on top of the Security Command Center platform. So hey, we have a lot going on here at Next with SEC. I just wanted to call out 4 different sessions that were happening in case you're interested. One tomorrow on our infrastructure as code capabilities, Mukesh right here in the front. Also another one on our threat detection capabilities. We have a number of threat detection platforms, a lot of cool stuff going on there, so that's a good one to check out. The continuous risk monitoring, how we are identifying vulnerabilities in your environment. So the bottom 2 sessions are really focused on risk, prioritization, and our different vulnerability detection capabilities. We also have some hands-on labs available to really, we can have customers get their hands on Security Command Center Enterprise. Those aren't in the schedule, so if you're interested, just come see me out back after the presentation today. We have added Security Command Center to the Google Cloud Security community. A lot of good information there. We have our customer success team who's posting a lot of good content there weekly. Right, I've been on there myself answering questions, right? So a lot of good stuff there for you to get information on our Google Cloud Security portfolio. We also have a Quick Labs environment, Cloud Skill Boost, for you to have anybody on your team, or if you're interested in learning more about Security Command Center Enterprise. Check out what's next. They have a lot of cool stuff going on to where you can figure out how to better use Google Cloud, test out the AI capabilities, anything specific to Security Command Center Enterprise. Talk to your Google Cloud account team, right? We're happy to set up a trial in your environment and really see how to kick the tires yourself. And then just kind of wrapping up, right? Your feedback is appreciated. Anything help us improve in the future, right? So we appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for the time. We'll be out back, out in the hallway. Please meet us for any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick.